the new best thing, better than you've ever seen. I'm the new best thing, I'm gonna be the king. I bring that ching, ching, ching. Yeah, I'm the new best thing, I'm the new best thing.
We've got a great episode for you today. We're going to be joined by Gehrig Kunz, product marketing lead for Hedera. And we're also going to be celebrating the 2-year anniversary of open access for the mainnet. And we've also got an amazing giveaway. You guys have to stick around until the end of the video. Brandon's going to tell you all about it then, but we've got some really great giveaways, and they might be even a little more special than just your normal swag. So you'll have to wait and see. Brandon's going to tell you about that after we talk a little bit about the market. Hello and welcome back to Hedera Forum. We're so happy you could join us again for our 24th episode. It's going to be a great one. We are joined today by Gehrig Kunz, Product Marketing Manager with Hedera. Hello, Gehrig. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Thank you guys so much for having me and continuing to put on a great show.
Well, thank you so much. And we're joined as always by Brandon. Hey, Brandon, what's up?
All good. Can't do better than this week.
Yeah, it's been a good week. A lot of news for Hedera. A cryptic announcement of an announcement coming up. I should mention that we're recording this on September 14th, so just 2 days ahead of the 2-year anniversary for open access for the mainnet. For the 1-year anniversary, time just flies past, but Gehrig, I don't know if you caught this, but for the 1-year anniversary, we actually had Mance and Leemon come on and join us, and that was exactly 12 episodes ago for our 12th episode. So we're sort of averaging one per month here. We'll try to keep that up, and maybe even we might have something else in the works too. We'll see. But with that, let's jump right into the questions. I just wanted to know if you would mind sort of introducing yourself, Gehrig, to the community, what your role is at Hedera, and any background that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a product marketing manager here at Hedera. I'm a part of the marketing team, really focused on our developer marketing efforts and Hedera Consensus service in particular. Most of my background, after being at Hedera for 3 years now, which certainly is a blur, you're right, Jesse. It's been a wild ride, full of ups and downs, as you guys are aware, but exciting times ahead. Most of my background prior to Hedera comes in more traditional startups in infrastructure, distributed systems, working at companies like Cloudflare and Confluent, open source projects, and really community-driven projects that are developer-oriented. So pretty much a good natural tie-in from that distributed system security aspects coming into Hedera in the world of cryptocurrency. Hedera was certainly my first foray into cryptocurrency. Quite a lot of lessons learned there, as you guys can imagine. And it's been, really exciting to start to, only begin to wrap my head fully around everything that's available to us and the potential that we have. So it's been a great learning lesson as we've gone and started to grow. As a more personal side of things, an avid hiker, I'd say, and a hobbyist developer on the weekends. So a little bit more technical than most marketers, I'd suggest.
All right.
Good stuff. Cool. All right. So, Gehrig, can you tell us a little bit more about Hedera's new NFT auction initiative? Absolutely.
So this is something that we're pretty excited about. If you don't know, and we haven't talked about it before, it's really started 6 months ago or so. And it was an idea from the community to have a little bit of fun and auction off a token that was stamped by Leemon. So these are actual physical coins that Leemon currently possesses. He's hand stamped them. That's been verified by a third party. And we're going to create really a digital twin or NFT that supports that. For when it comes to this auction infrastructure, this is really building from scratch. And our goal from the very beginning was to make this open source, something that the community could really pick up and run with. So even though we're just doing, a single auction as Hedera, we're donating that auction to charity. There's a lot of work that's being done to make sure that the code is sound. It's been audited by, again, a third party. And is able to be picked up and done anything with really by the community. So excited to see where that progresses and what they end up doing with it. There's a ton of potential there. And I think we have a quick walkthrough that we can actually give you a sneak peek of what's going to look like in the auction.
All right.
Yeah. Can you guys see the screen here now?
Not yet.
All right. Let me get there for you.
And what's really cool about this auction is it's really the first time that we're starting to explore the concept of a validator network or a layer 2 on Hedera. So I can talk a little bit more about that if we want to get into it. But just looking at this example auction that we have here right now, it's a very simple but beautiful UI that our designer Claudio has built and Greg has developed for us. So this is just one instance of the auction. Each validator node on our network is going to be running their own instance. So there's multiple, URLs essentially that you could access this auction from. If you just want to click on one of these auctions here that are live, we can start to look at the different transaction history and everything associated with an auction. So this is a good overview of, how long the auction has, the current winning bid, the minimum price increase, and recent bids as well. And so when we click bid here, we're actually going to see an auction account ID. So each individual auction has its own account ID. And what that really is a account that's owned by this validator network. So for the Hedera NFT auction here, we're using 7 validators within that network. So this is a combination of individual community members, projects like GoMint and IVX, Seon Waters running a node. So some good community and decentralized participation there, which has been a ton of fun and super appreciative of the support they've offered there. So each auction has their own individual account ID. And if I can zoom in here to see what that actually is for this one, I can actually send a bid here in real time. Thank you, Jesse. That's great.
So does that mean there's over 2.5 million testnet accounts?
That's right. Whatever that number is, that's the number of testnets accounts that have been created.
Wow.
And so we're currently at, I think, is that 10 HBARs that are the winning bid? Which we bid here?
Yeah, let's
15.
run it up. Let's run it up. I mean, I don't want to miss out.
That's right. So maybe we'll throw in a bid of 32.
There we go.
So we'll throw in that bid. I'll send this transaction. Hopefully it works, as we are doing this live on a testnet with my CLI here. And it looks like it should be successful. So if we just, there we go.
There it is.
We got our bid of 32 HBARs. And so that's our current winner. And what's neat about this auction is it's extremely fast, as you can see. I recently tried an auction on OpenSea and PartyBit as well, if you're familiar with those sites. And it is a really painful, slow process. So really neat and game-changing to have this type of speed. And so not only are we placing that bid and sending that HBAR to the auction account ID, that's owned by that validator network. That validator network is actually returning the previous losing bid. So that bid of 15 HBAR is, as we sent that, being returned to that owner. So that's all happening in really, seconds across the network.
That's neat.
Yeah, which is really cool. And you're actually, since the fees are so low as well, I think for at least this auction, we're taking advantage of that to make sure you don't lose out on any of those transaction fees coming back and forth. So compare that to the gas fees that I had to pay troubleshooting OpenSea, and my wife wouldn't be too happy.
Well, how cool is this? I mean, Hedera Forum exclusive here. Look at how beautiful this is. And you guys saw the latency there was what, 2 seconds, maybe something like that. And
that's right.
Just a beautiful looking UX here. Wow.
Yeah, and we should be auctioning off, I believe, 4 items at the moment. We're going to have 2 of these tokens that are hand stamped by Leemon. We're also going to be putting some of these tokens that are not stamped in our store as well. So just in case anybody wants to have their own, I think we're going to sell 24 there. We have one of Mance's books that he's going to autograph that I think he's talked about on a few different town halls and whatnot. And then we also have an item donated by a community member, which is super exciting. And really appreciative. And of course, all of these proceeds are going to go to a Dallas women's shelter. And, we're excited to be able to participate in that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for showing this and giving us this demo. I know the community is going to eat this up. So essentially anybody is going to be able to take this, the work that you guys have done, and build off of this and create their own auctions for whatever they might choose.
That's exactly right. And so, just to go into a little bit more of the technical detail here, we are running that validator network. I hope some of those validators will stay on and continue to recruit more members, perhaps, and kind of determine what that ideal amount of decentralization is when it comes to that. One way you could look at this is, you could do the same kind of logic and functionality within a smart contract or using one of these validator networks. And, there's certainly trade-offs between those two models. But really excited for us to start to explore what that validator network looks like and take advantage of this scheduled transactions functionality that Hedera offers.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Gehrig, for sharing that. I hope the community will appreciate that. I know they will. Wow. Look at this. Okay. All right, Brandon. Well, should we move on with the interview here? We've got a few questions prepared for you, Gehrig.
Shoot.
Brandon, you want to start with your first one there? I kind of touched on the first one.
Yeah. So, Gehrig, ITT Madras was added to the council just this morning. Can you give us some insights into this addition?
Absolutely. So I believe this is our 23rd council member, which is exciting to see that grow and progress. And have so many of those nodes online. It was really cool. We're starting to mature a lot of our operations systems. So even the time to get those nodes up and running is getting quicker. When it comes to ITT Madras, this is one of the largest universities in India. I think we're building a really nice collection within India as well. And we should be announcing a hackathon there pretty soon too. So we're excited to see some of that momentum build within a region, which I think we all expect by the governance model to have that distributed, but also very strong and concentrated to be able to get that momentum building. This is, I believe, our third university that we've added, which I think is a healthy amount, especially when we think about the interest of a university. We've seen kind of, the report on energy usage be one of those good outcomes from having that kind of research-based component of it. And I think we're going to start to see more rewards in the future for, more academic-minded folks participating within our ecosystem.
Yeah, I love how the council, we have these pockets of places that have multiple council members, India being one, another one in UK, another one in South Korea. And it really gives the communities there some ownership in Hedera itself. So it's neat.
That's absolutely right. I think it's really fun to, start to have more of a voice within these communities and, start to get more distributed as we go. Yeah. So I think we're taking a, very pragmatic approach through and through when it comes to decentralization. And we're still in the early days of that, to be quite candid, but very excited for what's ahead. And I think adding, a university in India is a good point along that journey.
Sure.
All right, Gehrig, I've got a kind of a silly question here, but Your brother Cooper has been on the episode twice actually already, once as an employee of Hedera and once as an employee of Galaxy, which also has some more great news coming out. The good news is just flooding in from everywhere. So I just wanted to know, what was it like kind of growing up with Cooper? What was in the water in your house growing up? You guys are both so accomplished, and it's just an interesting thing to see. And we've got this little friendly rivalry going now between appearances on Hedera Forum. So can you talk a little bit about that?
That's right. I hope I can top him in view count. We'll see how this goes. Although he can bring in Spencer Dinwiddie, so I don't think I can compete well there. But we shall see. I think a lot of, our success, and I don't even know if Cooper was on here, I don't think we'd call it success or anything like that, right? We're just trying to do interesting things and happen to fall into interesting places. And Hedera has certainly been a success in itself, but we've just played a very small role in that. When it comes to, I think a lot of where we've gone so far is due to, I think, our curiosity in that regard, which I think we owe a lot to our parents. Our parents are both teachers. And so there's a natural kind of, wanting to understand the world and make sense of it and kind of see where you fit in within that. So I think that's where we owe a lot of it to. Certainly growing up with Cooper is an interesting time and dynamic. It's, we are a pretty big difference in age at about 7 years. And so it's been something where he's, trying to catch up to me in so many ways, be it on the basketball court or in life.
Oh, the gauntlet is thrown.
That's right. That's right. We can have a one-on-one game live streamed anytime people want.
Oh, wow. Wow. And not 2-on-2, so he can't bring Spencer, and it's just one-on-one here.
That's right. Yeah. He can have Paul Matson if he wants. We can have that trade-off. But, certainly when it comes to that, we've, had a really good competitive nature, I think, over the years, with an ability to really allow each other and encourage each other to have really positive growth, especially when it comes to kind of understanding, the tech world in particular. So it's been a lot of fun to see. And I'm glad he had the opportunity to join Hedera and go on to build Galaxy. So excited to read more about their white paper, which was released today. I think they have a lot of exciting things ahead. And I think they have a really interesting abstraction of the social protocol concept, that makes a lot of sense for these decentralized networks and protocols. So excited to see that come to life and really that vision emerge.
I think one of the cool things about people that even leave Hedera, they stay in the ecosystem, whether it's Paul or whether it's Cooper or Jordan, they all keep working in the ecosystem. So that's cool.
That's right. How can you not? I mean, it's such an interesting space to play in. I know Paul, it took a couple quick tweets from Spencer Dinwiddie to get him back on board. So it was definitely that, but glad to see him back in the space. Of course, he's, a great follow on Twitter. If you're not following him, highly recommend there.
Yeah,
all right.
We should extend an invitation to Paul, and congratulations, by the way, Paul. Happy to have you back. So yeah, maybe we'll have him on sometime.
That's right. All right. So here's a technical kind of question. We were impressed with the recent improvements in latency or the time to finality for events on Hedera Network. There's another technical milestone that many in the community are interested in concerning eliminating maintenance window downtime. We understand this should be addressed by the so-called update upgrade. Can you provide any insight on this and when the upgrade might be implemented?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can provide some high-level details. As a network, each of those nodes are really run by those independent council members. So anytime we have downtime in terms of a node coming offline, historically, we've had to take the network down entirely in order to bring that node back up online and reconnect to the network. So a lot of, we don't want that, right? That's not good for any mission critical application. We are, not even at version 1.0 in our minds. And so a big component of that is having the ability to seamlessly reconnect those nodes without any human intervention. So right now, if one of the nodes, I think IBM went down recently, there's a Slack communication that goes through our internal channels. We reach out to IBM to make sure they're aware of it. It's a big onerous process. Reconnect is going to give us the ability to really do that on the fly without human intervention. So anytime one of those nodes comes down, it's kind of self-healing in that regard and has the ability to come back online seamlessly and really have the network remain up and running without any downtime required for bringing those nodes back online and syncing them back up with the network. So it's a really exciting and maturing feature. I believe it's on our roadmap at hedera.com/roadmap, slated for Q4. And I think we'll should be able to hit that timeline from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Great news there. So Gehrig, Hedera recently announced the launch of an all-new official partner program. Can you provide some details about this program and how you see it unfolding in the years and months to come?
I can certainly do that. It's always been an interest, and I think it's interesting when it comes to Hedera, right? We're kind of combating, coming at it from two different ways, right? We're coming from a top-down approach at the enterprise level, and we're coming at a bottoms-up approach from the self-serve side. When it comes to that enterprise adoption, our partner program is really a critical element there. This is led by Nigel on our team, who's from Oracle, and Oracle has perhaps one of the most, Salesforce I'd put up there in terms of quality of partner programs. So it's a really mature background that it's coming from, and we're starting to see a lot of that pay off now. When it comes to our partner program, there's three different avenues that we look at it from. The first is kind of technical partners, which are people that are building actually at the protocol level. So these are like the line chains of the world, Envisions, Horizons, very technical teams that are helping to improve Hedera as a whole as we go through our open source development processes. Aside from that, there's the more traditional systems integrators. These are the large players of the world, the WePros, that are starting to get hands-on with Hedera and building other applications for their users or their customers. And so that's the second category. And the third category is really the kind of notion of enterprise applications or SaaS applications in particular that are, really leveraging Hedera and what it offers, typically through the Hedera Consensus Service, but not always, to start to embed some of those properties of Hedera within their own applications. So ServiceNow is probably a good example of this. I'm sure you guys are familiar with their use case of SLA monitoring. And so that gives their customers the ability to kind of bolt on Hedera to their workloads if they want. So that's kind of how we think about it here at Hedera. And it's certainly a maturing platform as well and program that I'm excited for the future of. I think when it comes to enterprise adoption, we're going to see a lot more of that come from this type of model than we would otherwise. Enterprises typically won't have, the teams, the resources to implement Hedera-like solutions, even within their blockchain or innovation groups. They'll be a little bit shorthanded. They'll want to run a POC, but maybe not have that manpower. And so it's through things like the partner program that we can make that a lot quicker, bring their time to market a lot closer, and make it, really a no-brainer for a lot of these enterprises to adopt Hedera.
All right. So the next question, and I was on a recent Twitter Spaces hosted by Hedera. Christian Hasker, the CMO, was asked about the perceived struggles HBAR has had being listed on some major exchanges. And I'm sure they were thinking about, Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini. I wish I was paying a little bit closer attention, but the tone was that this would make more sense and there'd be some clarity provided in the months to come. We just had some impressive on-ramps added with KuCoin and Crypto.com. But can you talk about the clarity that Christian mentioned and what might be coming?
I can certainly try. This is something that's a little bit above my pay grade and outside of my area of expertise. I think one of the things that is clear to us is the importance of an ecosystem around us. Especially when we think about the adoption of Hedera tokens on Hedera Token Service, the infrastructure and everything else that supports that is critical to how developers and businesses decide what to build on. So it's things like that we certainly need to catch up with. And whether that's, a browser extension, token exchange, all of those critical components that we see in other ecosystems, we collectively as a community, I think, have to get there. When it comes to, Hedera, we're very mindful of that fact and certainly, also very conservative to what we do. There's been some good Twitter threads around kind of the pay to play that some people have and otherwise that I think is certainly a factor there. We're not as willing to do that as other companies or projects in this space, for one thing. And the other thing to be mindful of is, we are certainly a different approach in the game. So it's not an ERC20 that these people have to integrate with. It's an entirely new kind of paradigm shift that does take a little bit more effort to get up to speed with. Not that it's harder, but it's just different and outside of their normal procedures. So I think all of that is, gotten us to where we are today. And I think there's, hopefully some efforts in the future that'll help streamline some of those conversations. So I hope that's not too much of a non-answer, but hopefully it gives you something to think about.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, these exchanges have limited resources. And of course, they have to have developers working really hard on this stuff. Now, we've had plenty of exchanges already integrated, so we know that it's possible and they can do it effectively. But yeah, we're looking forward to that in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, Gehrig. So as you know, this is Hedera Forum. It's really produced for the core community of Hedera. We don't stray too far from Hedera topics at all. But I was just wondering, the community is filled with so many great characters and people who have contributed in so many ways. I wonder if you have any special interactions or anybody in the community who you've had the pleasure of interacting with. You might have a story or just throw a shout out to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, Hedera is unique in that we are a very tight group of community members, but we're also growing very rapidly in that regard. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, I wasn't able to interact with community members in person as much as I would have liked. Really at the time when I left San Francisco in 2019, we had some really good meetups going and there was maturation there. I think two community members jump out at me. The first is probably opportunities like Waylon. So Waylon is someone who was in the community initially at Colorado State. I grabbed coffee with him in Boulder. We had a great conversation on how to build, a voting application on Hedera. They were really coming at it from a smart contracts first approach at the time. And we had maybe, an hour and a half, 2-hour-long coffee session that was just talking through, like, what could this look like using Hedera Consensus Service? And, I think what stood out about Waylon is that he's very thoughtful in what he does and has really a welcoming background. Fast forward to today, now he's on the developer evangelist team. And so I think that's really cool to see that kind of, growth within his own personal career and doing so within the background in the context of the community. So that certainly stands out as one example. There's other examples, I think, that, again, San Francisco based, the guys from Armada Chain were a ton of fun early on in the space. They were winners of that initial hackathon that I was the satellite manager for in San Francisco. And so having the ability to really, see them start to tinker with it, and continue to build on it in some way, even though I think Armada Chain is unfortunately shut down now. They're still around in the space, bringing plenty of positivity to us. And the other one I want to shout out to is our Validator Nodes. We have no intention of, paying these validator network operators for our NFT auction. There's nothing there really. It's just for them to participate within this opportunity and, really give back to the community. So they're spending, a few hours setting up this infrastructure, maintaining it, making sure the auction goes smoothly. It certainly wouldn't be possible without their volunteers. So whether that's, the Sion team, Goment team, Jamie Plata, Matt Smitties and the Dovu team, IVX and Rob Allen. I think there's a lot there that, we're so grateful for. So seeing all those things start to, come together, seeing the welcoming nature that Hedera community in general has, I think is really exciting and something that I'm proud to be a part of.
Good stuff. So can you provide any updates on some of the community's favorite use cases, or perhaps some of the ones that just have you excited? We have all kinds of favorites: Coupon Bureau, Toko, Animoca, Project Starling, Hallow, Atma.io, all the stuff that, is going through Hyperledger with HCS. And of course, if you have anything on CBDCs, we'll take that as well. But, any of your personal favorites, what do you got on use cases?
What I'm excited about, to zoom out a little bit, right? We've done, and all the ones you've listed out are really B2B applications, which I think has been good for us. We've been able to focus more at that, protocol layer. We haven't had to have issues with kind of that ecosystem around us. We've been able to gain great adoption. However, we haven't been able to get that much headway on the consumer side. So I'm really excited for kind of the next, era of Hedera to be more balanced in that regard and start to see consumer applications emerge. Galaxy being, maybe at the forefront of that, Goment and others. I'm really excited for that general, we're going to start to play bigger and better ways within the consumer space. And what does that unlock for us? We start to see more accounts created. We start to see network effects with NFTs and tokens. There's a ton of potential that, we've really been, somehow able to not be part of, but still have great success. So once we start to get two of those things happening, that's where I think really exciting things will happen. And, I think when it comes to that Galaxy, not to, give too many shout outs to my brother here, but I think what they're doing is really smart and clever. And I'm excited to see how that momentum picks up, and how that adoption looks like. They're announcing quite a few things today. But is it the right abstraction level? Again, is what question I go back to. And can other builders start to tap into those same tokens that they're creating, the same kind of network and ecosystem that they're building? That's when we get really, really exciting and a lot of fun things happening.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, Gehrig, I think that's about all we have for you today. Thank you so much for the NFT auction demo. That was killer. I know that a lot of people are going to have fun with that. And thanks for your time and sharing some of your thoughts around Hedera. And Brandon, got anything else as we part ways here?
No, I think that's about it. Stick around for the auction information and the market commentary here coming up.
Fantastic. Right. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all your great work over the past few years.
All right, Gehrig. Stay tuned for another Hedera Forum. As Brandon mentioned, we're going to be talking a little bit about the market, and you're really going to want to stick around till the end of this video because very special giveaways for the community coming up at the end. So we'll catch you guys on another Hedera Forum down the road. Hello and welcome back to Hedera Forum. We're so happy you could join us, and we thought, given all of the news and recent price action, it would be nice to take a look at the charts with our resident analyst, Brandon. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing good.
All right, so let's take a look. I mean, obviously, just a lot to talk about here in the last few days or so. And I know you pulled up a few charts, and maybe you could walk us through how you see the market unfolding here.
Sure. So, I mean, of course, we have some fundamental drivers here. We had KuCoin that is listing HBAR. They announced that on Monday. I think it's getting listed on Wednesday. We have Crypto.com that is also going to be an on-ramp that's going to be listing HBAR. We have we just had a council member announcement, which we've been discussing with, I think it's ITT Madras, but we'll find out. If we get Gehrig on, we'll talk to him about it. But so as far as the charts go, we made a new all-time high today. The previous all-time high was at 45.5 cents. So first, let's talk about some support levels. We have, of course, the previous all-time high should offer some support, and we've seen it tested a little bit. As we're recording here, we're right about at 46 cents. So that's going to offer some support. Not real strong, of course, because we only made hit 45 back in March for a short time. It bounced off, and we've kind of moved right through it. So we'll see if that offers support if we do start to pull back. Another level of support is going to be around that 41 cent level, because we tested that a few times back in the spring. So that's going to be another level of support. And then back down around in the low 30 cent range, in the 34 cent range, that's another place where we could see some support. Something I talked about in a recent video update was the 25-day moving average, EMA. I had seen a couple times where that had been tested and it had been really good support, and it was a good buying opportunity. And a few days after I posted that video, we had that really nasty pullback in the entire crypto market. And we went down and we touched under 24 cents. At the time, that 25 EMA was sitting right about 24 cents. So if you were to grab a buy at that point, you're looking at almost 100% gain since then. But again, that's going to continue to move up as we move up. Right now, it's sitting under 30 cents, but it's going to continue to move up, and we'll see if that offers support a little bit later on. Beside that, if we zoom out a little bit to the weekly chart, we see this cup pattern starting to form. We haven't really gotten the handle part of it yet, but we may see that over the next few days and weeks, where we form that cup and handle pattern. But now let's talk about some upward targets that we might hit, and we'll go back to what we've looked at in the past. We'll kind of pinch down on that same weekly chart on the y-axis to allow us to put in our Fibonacci extension levels. And we go back all the way to December to get the first point, and extend that up for the first impulse up to the all-time high at 45 cents. And then the third point we grab is just over 13 cents, between 13 and 14 cents. And that'll give us our Fibonacci extension levels. You'll see one of the important points on the Fibonacci extension is that 0.786 level. That's right around 47.4 cents. And we've seen us bouncing around that today after we broke through the previous all-time high. The next level is going to be at the 100% level, which is at about 56.5 cents. And then at the 1.618 level, which is right around 83 cents. That's an interesting one that I'm going to talk about here in a second. And then 2.618 level is at $1.25, and then another one at the 3.618 level, and that's at $1.68, and then all the way up to the 4.236 level, and that's up at just under $2. So when we had a run on big news the last time, which was the Google news, which kind of hit the HBAR market pretty impressively. Before that news actually hit, we ran from 1 penny up to about 2 cents. And then after the news was announced, we ran from 2 cents all the way up to 8 cents. And then we pulled back and settled out. You remember, we just hung out at 4 cents a lot of last year. And if that were to repeat now, we just saw a similar run up of about 100% from that 20-cent level up to the 40-cent level. And if we continue to get this big news that kind of adds up to something of the impact that Google had, we could see a similar pattern form where we go up 4x from this 40 to 50-cent level and go up to right around, that would put us right around that 3.618 Fibonacci level at $1.68. And then we could, possibly have a pullback down to 80 cents. Now, of course, this is all speculation. When we do get into this price discovery mode, we kind of have to use these tools that try to allow us to look ahead. And Fibonacci extensions is one that I use to do that. Any comments on that, Jesse?
Yeah, really nice job. Obviously anything can happen. I'm going to refrain from making any predictions or speculate too much on price. Obviously, it's been great to watch what's happened this past week or so. I think for me, I'm kind of looking at news more so than price, and obviously the news can be a driver of price. But the addition of ITT Madras is really great. I hear they are a very prestigious institution, although admittedly I'm not all that familiar with them. But that makes 3 large cap council members in India, which is great to see. I also noticed that Magalu recently moved their node from somewhere on the East Coast down to South America. So getting a little bit more geographically diverse in terms of the continued decentralization, which is always nice to see. And obviously more nodes coming on with LSE and now ITT. So that's great to see. Obviously, Hedera has this sort of teaser out there, which is sort of unlike Hedera. And there's been a lot of speculation in Telegram chats and other places when they're sort of teasing this announcement that will be part of their anniversary celebration on September 16th. We're recording this on September 14th, so just 2 days ahead of that. And Brandon, I know last year around this time, we did an anniversary special with Mance and Leemon, and they came on the program. And that was really cool to have their support. And also, we're right at the 24th episode now. So we're averaging about an episode a month. I think maybe as things pick up, maybe we could be producing a little bit more. I know the community would probably like to see that. So keep an eye out for that. So the additional exchanges, the sort of cryptic announcement that is forthcoming, the special announcement that is forthcoming in a few days here. Just a lot to look forward to, aside from price, but certainly things pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, you have to kind of think with the way Hedera is and their conservative bias, you would think that they would probably have a technical maybe announcement associated with that, maybe something around the update, upgrade, or possibly something with staking, something along those lines. But you would think it would be more technical than a commercial use case or something along those lines. But hey, they could surprise us.
You never know. I just thought it was unlike them to announce an announcement. But hey, it's I guess the who knows what the market is reacting to, but certainly didn't hurt this week, I suppose.
No question. And we do have our giveaway. I want to give some details on that. So we're going to have some swag, some t-shirts and a hat. So there's going to be swag bags that's going to contain either a t-shirt and then some things that go along with that. So pins and stickers and all that kind of stuff, just general Hedera stuff. And then there's going to be one with a hat. So we're going to give away 2 of these bags. One of them is going to be the t-shirt and one of them is going to be the hat. The way we're going to determine that is we're going to tweet this episode of Hedera Forum out. And we want to try to get everybody to retweet us as much as possible, not quote tweets, try to stick to the retweets. And then we're going to take everybody who does that and we're going to put them into a raffle or a drawing. And whoever wins that drawing, they're going to have to be willing to give us their address so we can send out this swag. But whoever wins that raffle will send these out to them. So there'll be 2 winners. And go ahead and retweet our our episode, and we would appreciate it. And we hope you enjoy that. The really cool thing about this is the hat and the shirt are going to be signed by the founders. They're going to be signed by both Mance and Leemon. So I don't know how much you're going to want to wear this stuff unless it's a big Hedera event, but that certainly adds some value in my book. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Signed by Mance and Leemon themselves and shipped directly from Hedera right to you. So we won't even be sending it. We're just a conduit. Just want to put that out there. It will arrive straight from Hedera to your doorstep. Retweet the episode when you see it. Hit Twitter. Yeah. Anything else here, Brandon, to go over?
I don't have too much else. It's been fun to watch this week. So we hope we continue to get that exciting news and it has a positive impact on the market. But I have a feeling they're just getting started. I mentioned in that video I put out last week that, we might see a shock and awe campaign. It's something that they hadn't done in the past. They've kind of had measured announcements and spread them out. But it seems like they're taking a little bit different tack with this, and they're hitting us pretty hot and heavy.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of things. We've been talking about it for years here now. It's hard. It feels weird to say that, but it has been.
Yeah, it has.
But there's all of these things that could happen that could be potential catalysts, and we've talked about them ad nauseum. Other listings, exchange listings, news, council members, all of this stuff, use cases, and a lot of this stuff is still yet to happen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, to your point, a lot to look forward to, and hopefully some room to grow. So thanks everybody for tuning in to Hedera Forum. We really appreciate it. We're doing this, for the Hedera, for the core community. We've been doing it now for a couple of years, 24 episodes in, and we hope you enjoy it. Let us have your feedback. We've come a long way, but we obviously have a lot of room to grow as well. What would you like us to do? More on market, more on news, more guests? Who would you like us to have on? Let us know in the comments on the video. And we hope to see you next time on Hedera Forum.